Let's talk some WrestleMania. You've hit record. Let's welcome John Draper back to the show. How you doing, John?
Apparently I'm in step with everyone else, if you get my meaning.
It would appear so. This is totally freaking me out.
Yeah. Apparently, these guys have switched over to a psychedelic podcast and not told me. And I'm looking at myself on a step with my caricature of myself with my old teeth, which is always a hoot. And I don't have the WrestleMania hangover that I guess you guys got, huh?
Yeah. I think I fell asleep. I went to bed just before Asuka and Rhea Ripley. So I didn't do too bad. I lasted almost to the end, but I just couldn't go. I had to tap out. It was too much.
I think I went to bed as it started. So I actually watched the Fiend Randy Orton match in bed, and that's all I remember. So I woke up this morning, watched the highlights, and I was happy because I didn't have to stay up for it. So
nice.
Yeah, I was all right.
Did you guys do that for the previous night? How did you guys approach the Saturday night show?
What did we do?
I stayed up
for both. I watched both of them in their entirety, so I stayed up for both. And I'm paying price now, because like I said, I'm pretty old now, and I feel like I'm on a 2-day hangover now. So
God, Rivers, I guess you were a proper wrestling fan now, aren't you? You know, staying up for 2 nights of Mania.
I don't want to break. I hate to break this, but I'm kind of a big deal in the wrestling community now, Callum.
You are.
I knew that.
I'm sorry.
Pro wrestling
That's why I'm here. That's the only reason why I'm here. Is because you're a big deal.
Because I've got pro wrestling tees out. I'm representing Danhausen now, officially. We're pretty much best friends.
So,
yeah.
Well, I went out on Saturday night, John, so I watched it yesterday. So I wasn't too bad, and I struggled. I struggled last night, but it was interesting. I mean, if we're going to talk Mania, I mean, let's talk straight away then about Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley. I personally like the outcome, John. I mean, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. When I found out it was opening the show, I had a very negative reaction because, I'm an old school wrestling fan, and the title should not open a 2-night WrestleMania. I'm sorry, it just shouldn't. It diminishes the title. You spent a whole year on television pushing this guy, telling me that he was the face of that company and the Monday Night Raw brand, and now he's opening the show, after the rain on the first night of WrestleMania. I thought that was a little cheesy. What did you guys think of them opening?
I enjoyed it. Before we talk that as well, I know these two agree with me, but I'm still not happy with the whole Hurt business being split up. I hear that was a Vince McMahon decision, solely Vince McMahon.
Shocker.
Does that surprise anybody?
No.
Not really. I think it would have made more sense if they kept them together as well. Like the distraction ending for that match would have made a lot more sense, and it would have protected Drew a lot more if he had more legit people interfering in said match, and because it was just MVP shouted something at him, and then he looked over, and it kind of made him look like a bit of a fucking idiot, really. And then he misses his move, and
because Drew was really concerned about what MVP said. Like, it's his manager. Of course, he's going to be talking to him. It's none of your business, Drew. Focus on the match. And then he got put in the headlock and passed out. So yeah, he looked like a little bit of a pussy, really. So, but I'm happy with the outcome. I'm happy Bobby's getting a good reign because he deserves it. He's legit. One of the best champions they've had in a long time.
And he's barely had the belt, guys. How many weeks has he had the title? I mean, like a month?
5 weeks? Yeah.
3-4 weeks, a month, yeah.
Now let me ask you guys this, and I don't want to pee in the punch bowl so early in the conversation, but do you have any fear that he's losing the title tonight, Drew?
Good question.
God, I never even thought of that, actually.
That never even crossed my mind, because I was just going to say, I mean, who do you think is going to step up next to challenge him? But I didn't even think about it. I hope not. I want Bobby to get a really good, strong run, and then if McIntyre's going to win it back, then why not SummerSlam, Survivor Series, something like that? Let Lashley have a good run, but I hope to God that they don't do that tonight.
Yeah, and again, I don't know that they're doing that. I'm trying to play, but because this is the biggest Raw of the year tonight. I mean, we're recording this on a day when in a few hours the most watched Raw of the year is today, without question. And it's usually the one we all look forward to the most. I know you guys probably do. I always look forward to this Raw, like more than any TV show for many years now. Now it disappoints, but the speculation is there. I'm worried that they fed. I mean, look, I think the reality is when there's no audience and there's a pandemic crippling the world, Drew is the kind of person you put the belt on because he looks good. And you can get him to say all these like donkey things that he says. Like, he basically anything that happens in culture, he just repeats like John Cena did like 9 years ago or something like that. Like, he's like the what's up beer guy, Budweiser commercial. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, that's true. Bobby's not going to be that champion, face or heel, no matter what. He's just not that kind of person. But I'm concerned that because he didn't like get his big moment, everyone said, he's supposed to get his big Mania moment. Well, he really didn't get the Mania moment Saturday. I mean, he kind of got a curtain jerking moment. The crowd was very generous because it was the opening match, but I think the crowd wanted Lashley to win big time. Don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I really do feel like Drew's been done dirty a little bit because last year he didn't get that big crowning moment in front of the fans. And remember everybody last year saying they hope Drew loses it so he can win it again next year at WrestleMania in front of fans. And when that moment finally came, nobody wanted Drew to win. So it shows how much can change in a year.
Well, let me tell you guys something. I mean, I just think about this. When I really get in tune, I don't shut my brain off about it. They need to have a tremendous ratings tonight because they need to push tomorrow. Tomorrow is huge also for them because this is the first night NXT is on Tuesdays, and it's going to stand alone in terms of how it's going to be perceived. So what better way, instead of pulling is to maybe pull a title change on Raw and possibly have Becky walk out at some point. I mean, these are the things I think tonight. I think tonight is very important for them because they're going to want to set a stage. I think now that they're going to have some more fans, but we should point out they're not having fans again until SummerSlam. They're going right back to that Amway Center or whatever. Right. No fans in the there's no fans tonight, right?
That's the shame.
Yeah, damn shame.
Even if it was only 100 fans stood in front of all the screens, like anything would be better than nothing, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I was happy that Bobby won, but the placement of that I think is very telling. I don't know if it had more to do with Drew or the fact that they're going to save a bigger thing. Because if you watch only Monday Night Raw, you would think Drew is the greatest person in the whole company. You would think Drew is Jesus, rolled into a sandwich. I mean, Drew, every Monday night they've been telling me for over a year and a half that Drew is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
And then their biggest show of the year, Drew is gets punked out pretty early in the night, like he's nothing. So maybe his payback is tonight because they know they're going to get a lot more eyes. We'll see. But I was glad Bobby won. It was the right call.
Well, I mean, here's another one to throw out. I mean, they want to do something big. Could you see Lesnar return tonight? I know Lashley wants that match. I mean, could Lesnar return?
I haven't heard anything about Lesnar, but I know Ronda and Becky are coming soon. So which is we could talk about when we talk about the women's matches. Lesnar versus Lashley on paper looks amazing. I'm sure the match itself would be trash, but that's what people want to see. I mean, at the end of the day, that could be SummerSlam. I don't know.
I don't know about you guys, but I found myself caring less and less about the actual in-ring match these days, and I'm more bothered about the build-up to a match. So even if Lesnar Lashley was a trash match, as long as the build tells me a good story, I don't really mind nowadays.
Yeah, that's
most
true.
matches I will skip through anyway, but as long as the build's good and I'm invested, then that's enough for me now.
Yeah, if the build's good and they don't fuck up the finish, that's the most important thing,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, I'll just throwing that name out there. I'm trying to think off the top of my head who could be Lashley's next challenger. I mean, are they going to keep going with Drew? Is Randy Orton going to get another shot?
Yeah. Or are they going to flip flop rosters out? Without a big production about it. Like is Daniel Bryan going to walk out tonight on Raw?
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? Be like, yeah, well, I didn't beat Roman, But I've had my eyes on this title for a long time. Like, like who the hell knows? Like, we just don't know.
How about Keith Lee? How, if they dust him off and bring him back out,
Yeah.
Just for the sake of, they seem to be putting belts on all the new guys, so to speak.
Or guys, I'll do you one better. How about Finn Balor? Because that's the only reason why he dropped that belt. He stayed down there for a while. He got Cross back over, and now Cross has the belt, which is where it belongs, and now Balor can go back to the main roster.
You know who else dropped the belt? Riddle. How about Riddle with his birds flying out of his feet?
Oh.
What is that?
How about he has a match with Bobby Lashley? He throws a bunch of pigeons in his face, nails him with whatever the hell his finisher is. I don't know. And then bam, 1, 2, 3, new champ.
Crazy. Yeah. I will never understand why CGI birds have to fly out of Matt Riddle's feet, but that was a weird decision, I think, putting the belt on Sheamus. I do like Sheamus. I really do think he's a good talent, really worked hard over his career. Just a very weird match to have at Mania. It seems like a match you'd have on Raw for the championship.
It didn't make a lot of sense.
No. So I'm interested to see where they go with it, in all fairness.
But I feel like it was a thank you to Sheamus because of the matches that he's had with Drew McIntyre recently.
Yeah.
He's been doing some great work. I'm not going to knock the guy. I almost feel like this was a thank you to Sheamus. Here's your moment for the hard work you've done. And then
but remember, everybody was saying Drew was going to get the belt back because that's the thank you for him for doing the COVID title match last year with no audience. So but we all said, and I think we all were thinking that too. Like, well, Drew has to get his moment. It's not fair. It's not fair. He won the title in an empty place with fireworks. I think somebody's losing something tonight. I can tell you that. I honestly don't know who that's. Something big is happening tonight. Whether it's, by the way, if it's Becky and Ronda coming out, that's huge. I mean, so
massive.
That's massive. I mean, can you imagine if Becky comes out, talks a bunch of shit, and then you hear Ronda's music, and then they were like, "We never had this fucking fight."
I think you might be
it's
right,
amazing.
Because Becky did actually tease she was going to be at night 1 of Mania. She didn't show up. She teased night 2, didn't show up. She hasn't teased Raw, which makes me think she might actually be there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I like as well? Like, I would really love it if it was Becky and Ronda and we're going to get that singles match. I would love them to build it to SummerSlam. Not just give us it at Backlash. Let them build it up for months.
It's not called Backlash anymore. It's called WrestleMania Backlash.
Is that right?
The actual event now is called WrestleMania Backlash.
Wow. Well, I thought we were doing the WrestleMania Backlash right now.
Well, exactly. But I mean, and I'm not gonna go in order of the card because I'm gonna go for the night 2 because I want to get John's opinion on the whole. What was your thoughts on the Fiend and Randy Orton? Because me and Rivers were watching that one sat together and we were just like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, I have a lot of music friends that I forget like wrestling, like musician friends, and they're obviously home. And they were the first ones to drop that on like social media. And like, I had a pretty good friend who's a pretty well-known guy in the music business who was watching it live and said, this may have been the worst I've been watching WrestleMania for 30 something years. This is the worst WrestleMania match I've ever seen in my life. Now, I don't know about that. There's been some shitty ones. I'm confused because I don't know like what, like, I feel like they keep milking. It's like basically the cow gave you the milk a long time ago and you keep squeezing that udder. Hoping to get more milk out of it. I don't understand it. At the end, Alexa looked like she was in a Rob Zombie movie. She looked like Rob Zombie's wife. Like I feel like a lot of this was just created because they know they can't make because Randy is so unstable in terms of his productivity.
Yeah.
But the fans treat Randy like a star. I'm not a Randy fan, but the fans when they see Randy, they go, "There's a star. There's a wrestler. There's a star. There's a big name." So that's okay. The Fiend was over great, and then they kind of played it out too much. I mean, I'm not really sure where the misstep was with the Fiend, but now it's just the horse is so dead that the cow has no milk, and it's just like they can't. How are they going to separate all these people when they're going to have to do it at some point? I personally think this was more created to give Alexa something to do so they could focus on women that they normally wouldn't focus on, like Bianca, right? Like Rhea to some extent. Like, so they were like, okay, they love Alexa. They love her. They think she's like the greatest thing ever. But without Becky and without Ronda and without Charlotte, we don't want to waste Alexa with losers like some of these other women. Let's give her this gimmick to run with. You know what I mean? And I don't know if the fans, because we haven't seen fans, the fans were booing like motherfuckers. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that was pretty obvious that the fans were booing. But I don't know what happens now. Like, what's the point of this? I mean, it was bad. I mean, this was bad, right? I mean, it was bad.
Yeah, objectively.
Yeah. I was dumbfounded. I was sat in the same room with Rivers, and we just kind of like, what the fuck was that? What we?
What's the point of building him up? He's coming back. He's like Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees. He's coming back to get you, and then he's out with one RKO, and then it just felt very awkward and flat. And then and then he's looking up at Alexa Bliss, and then I'm like, why? Why would she interfere and cost him the match? You know, why would she?
Yeah.
You know. Yeah,
well, they're saying that she's going to do the full Sister Abigail character now.
Right.
Like that's what they're saying, but I don't know.
I'd be intrigued to see, but
I did hear somebody say that it could be Aleister Black who's now taking her over, because she was sat the same way Aleister Black does, wearing similar attire to Aleister Black. And I was like, as long as it gives Aleister Black something to do, I'd actually be fine with that.
That would be fucking amazing. Can you imagine if we find that out tonight? You could be like, get the fuck out of here. Like, you know, because are they doing the roster switch now, or are they saving that and making a production out of that again? I don't know.
I'm not sure. Have you heard anything? I don't think I've heard anything.
I haven't heard anything yet.
No.
Yeah. No, I don't think they'll do it tonight, at the very least.
Yeah, they've not mentioned it.
Tonight's the night to do it. Tonight's the night to do it. That match was very shitty. It was a bad opener. You know, they'd already delayed it, I guess, because of the rain too, right? Wasn't it? Delay?
Yeah.
So I think the crowd, whoever crowd was there, was probably already a little bit like, I'm sitting here in the rain. You know what I mean? This is what I got for sitting around.
Yeah.
All day in the rain. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with that. You know, they're going to save that for Fridays. Are they going to do something with that tonight? You know, I mean, I think tonight's the night to switch up some rosters, but they might wait and save that for Backlash. Randy needs to get out of this. We need to get these people away from each other.
Yeah.
Well, that's
it. A lot. That happens
you need to
a
start
lot.
giving Bray some wins. You need to start giving Bray some wins as well, and build the guy back up. You know, he just keeps losing and losing and losing, and it's just you know.
I said last night to you, Rivers, didn't I? I mean, they've consistently just fucked up Bray Wyatt. Not even just as the Fiend, even before that, when he was, you know, the cult leader Bray Wyatt. They just don't seem to ever get it right, and I feel like they've ruined the Fiend as well.
They have. They always do this. They do it not just the Fiend. They'll get a superstar who's hot, really good. They'll put him into a good feud, but they'll keep the feud going for so long that you lose any interest that you had, because there's nothing new of the feud. It's just match, no development. So you lose all your investment in both superstars, and then they wonder why no one cares anymore. And that's what happens with the Fiend and Bray Wyatt every time.
Well, I feel like that's going to continue tonight. I feel like there's more. I think, you know, they're going to give the Fiend his win back, shall we say? But that really put a dampener on it for me straight away last night. It really did. But I mean, I'm just randomly picking matches here as well. I'm not going night in order.
Look, I mean, what they did to Bray Wyatt was brutal, but it wasn't as brutal as the women's Gauntlet tag team match. Now that was that was night one. Was that night one?
Night one. Yeah, I am.
Now that was a real shit show.
Yeah, that people had blood coming out of their head for real watching that. Like instead of like people's brains were actually bleeding. You know, I get it. It's WrestleMania. Everybody's got to get their shit in. We got to find a little hokey thing for everyone to do. But, you know, this particular WrestleMania is more monumental for the obvious reasons. I mean, right? I mean, you know, they're back in the city that they weren't allowed to be in the previous year because of COVID. They're back in front of people for the first time in over a year because of COVID. Everybody knows this. You know, it's not even, the audience that they wanted because it was marginally smaller, fractionally smaller by decree of how dangerous it is to have people together possibly. So, I mean, to me, like the filler stuff, I'm a little less forgiving, to be honest with you, because you now had 2 nights to do this. You're also coming off of a pretty big week in wrestling, building this up. the 2 takeover nights, let's just say it right now, were infinitely better than both WrestleMania nights. That's not even they were.
Oh yeah.
They were. They were in every way, shape, and form. You know, and even the weaker things on the takeover nights, dare I say, were better than the weaker things on WrestleMania.
Yeah. I'd have to agree.
You know, so it's like, to me, like, I don't understand, why do we have this? If anything, this should have been all killer, no filler.
Yeah.
Every match is going to be a match where people go, that was great, I loved it, I'm really happy. But instead, they stick with this formula where it's like, we're going to give them a little bit of a shitty sideshow match now, and then we're going to put a title on the line there. But then we're going to put another shitty sideshow, and then Hogan's going to come out in a pirate outfit and get booed to death that we're not even able to cover up.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I
multiple
laughed
times.
so much. I mean, every time he came out, he knew he was getting booed.
Yeah.
And as soon as he opened his mouth, those boos rained in. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you, if I was there, I'd have been one of them too.
Yeah, I think it's over. I think hopefully they learn something from that. I think they can't put him on television. It's just like, this is a joke. Like, you're forcing him onto television in an environment where people are very conscious of what he said that was racially insensitive and, quite frankly, awful.
Yeah.
Right? And at a time where it's so polarizing, and it's a constant reminder of like how polarizing it is to people. And, you know, I don't care what he did, you know, when I was in 6th, 7th grade, which was wonderful. Don't get me wrong. It was great. That's a long time ago. I don't give a shit anymore. So it's just like, you know, it's just, I don't know. That women's gauntlet match was so bad. I mean, was it the worst match, you think, overall between both nights?
I would say so. I mean, I think the Fiend and Wyatt might rival it just for the ending.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, Jamie. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's the women's gauntlet match because it was just such a botch fest, and it was very clunky and kind of all over the place.
Yeah, I thought I was watching it on TNT on Wednesday nights.
Yeah, right. I was about to say, yeah, it was like an AEW botch fest, that whole match.
Holy
Maybe
shit.
It was a tribute. Maybe it was a tip of the cap.
It was a tribute to the women's division of AEW.
Yeah. And then the kind of one thing they did was like they were building this story of Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan being like the underdogs, you know. And then they had Tamina and Natty win, which was really strange because, you know,
nepotism.
Do we need those guys? You know.
No, you know, was it not Shotzi? It was is it somebody's dad died that day? One of the women.
Yeah, Shotzi.
Yeah.
Shotzi?
Yeah.
That's so shitty. She didn't have to perform. Was that the day she had to perform or no?
No.
I think it was a couple of days after.
Oh, so it was after the takeover. Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, I saw a funny thing. I saw a very smiling if you guys saw the picture of Miro smiling at WrestleMania with Lana's dad.
Yes.
That was kind of funny.
That was cool. That was like, I was like, Miro's there. I wonder if he's been invited backstage, kind of a thing. But
yeah, probably not.
I mean, well, probably not. No. But I know, obviously mentioning Tamina and Natalya there. I mean, obviously night 2, they were defeated by Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. I mean, I personally thought that match went way too long. It wasn't a bad match, in all due respect, but I think they got a lot of time, and it didn't really. I just think the women's tag team titles, I just don't care for them anymore.
Well, why would you? You've never
Exactly.
Did they? You have to give somebody a reason to care.
Yes.
Right. You have to give me a reason. You're selling me on a story, and all you're really doing is telling me that these two women, Shayna Baszler, who I think is very good, I've been a fan of for a long time.
Oh, hell yeah.
But because she's too good at being a singles wrestler and too convincingly tough, they had to bury her in a tag team with one of the more polarizing women who everyone seems to hate except the company, who was the first cousin of the most famous person in the world. So you have to put her in this environment and she's also a lot bigger. So it's like these people have to win all the time. Mm-hmm. And you're not really giving anybody a reason. The only people anybody really cared about was the Riot Squad. Yeah. And if you would have told me to put money on it, I would have said, the Riot Squad. Because people really like those two. They like their friendships. They like, and I love Ruby. I'm a Ruby fan. I don't think Liv is that good, but Ruby's great. Love Ruby. And, that's what people wanted to see. I think that's what people wanted to see that. Why not give people what they want to see at the biggest fucking show of the year? Like, I mean, like, I don't understand. Why wouldn't you give people that? Like, what reason do you have to perpetuate these unpopular women in this unpopular sort of environment where people will that's their piss break. That's the break they're going to get up every time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you know what? It shouldn't be that way. There's so many talented women in that company that you're throwing together in these hodgepodge tag teams so that people like Natty and Tamina, who have no business, like really in any title picture for any belt for the women, they're just not. They're done. Their day has happened already.
Yeah.
You know, they don't mean anything to anybody. The Riot Squad, people really like them. They mean something to them. So I'm disappointed that they didn't get a WrestleMania moment and a win, because I think they've earned it. But, you know, they're not related to famous people in the business. I mean, because clearly that's what it comes down to.
Well, yeah, I mean, and speaking of famous people being related to people, you know, in the business, we got to see another Shane McMahon WrestleMania match with Braun Strowman.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I mean, I like Shane, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to see 51-year-old Shane McMahon wrestling, you know? Give him a faction. I want him to create almost like a new corporation almost and have that kind of thing going on. I don't want to see Shane being thrown off a 16-foot tall cage and, you know, I don't want it anymore.
I mean, they don't know what to do with Shane, and they don't know what to do with Braun. It's the same. It's like the same problems happen every year in a different city, right? So here's Braun, who now they're making choo-choo noises like he's a child, like he's on Blue's Clues, right? I mean, like, how infantilizing is that? This is a guy 4 years ago that was picking up, you know, semi-trucks and throwing them at Roman Reigns, like he's the Juggernaut, like fighting Deadpool or something. And then they give him a little boy as a tag team partner, and they're like, you know, they don't know what to make him a face or heel. He's Big Show 2.0. He's too big to not have a title, and when he had a title, no one gave a shit because it was 2 years too late. So you throw him a Shane. What Shane should have done is, when he started the Raw Underground, when they canceled it, Shane could have came out and said, I'm mad that they took my show away. So now I'm just going to come out with these big, scary guys, and every time I feel like it, I'm going to start some shit.
John, I love that already. Like, I would be so invested in Shane McMahon just running, have like roughshod over Raw with this, like, they call it the Underground or something.
Yeah,
you know,
Shane's
like,
Underground. Yeah, called Shane's Underground.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'm going to ruin this title match. I'm going to ruin this interview. I'm going to ruin that.
And then Braun steps up. Braun steps up as the guy who wants to take them on. Shane nominates one of his big guys to take on Braun at WrestleMania. Makes so much more sense than Shane, who they even said to him in the interview, why did you pick a fight with Braun? Was you bored? And he was like, yeah, well, basically just it was something to do because I had fuck all going on, so I picked a fight with a big man. Oh, wow, great story. Brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine if they would have kept the guy who they gave to AJ and the guy who they're now giving to Apollo, and Shane just comes out with those two guys and just says, whenever I feel like it, I'm just going to take over this show every time.
Yeah.
Whenever I feel, and I'm going to use these guys to take over the show whenever I want to. Like, you know what I mean? Because you took my Raw Underground show away from me because you were scared of these guys. Like, and that would have made more sense. And then Braun could have fought one of them in a cage with Shane in his corner. You know what I mean? And then Braun still could have done a big spot with Shane, but as the manager.
Yeah.
Like the way
Shane's trying to get in from the outside, so Braun meets him at the top and throws him off.
You ever notice that Paul Heyman, all right, Paul Heyman's probably a bad example, but Paul Heyman, for all of his talents and all of his gifts, what's the one thing you never see Paul Heyman really, really get involved with, really, at the end of the day? Physicality and match.
Physicality, he doesn't get
He doesn't get beat up. Right now, we've seen managers his age, his size, whatever. We've seen The Undertaker. We've seen Paul Bearer get thrown around.
Yep.
We've certainly lived in a life where Jim Cornette has gotten thrown around, or other bad guy managers have gotten thrown around.
Bobby Heenan got thrown around all the time.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, I don't understand. Like, Shane could have been like this corporate kind of entity, like, you know, because everybody hates corporations now too, supposedly. And Shane could have been this like privileged corporate. They could have made a great character out of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Shane could have called it Shane's Privilege. And Shane could interrupt Raw whenever he wants. Yeah. I'm using Shane's Privilege. Like, you know, because I'm a spoiled rich kid, just like the president that you hated. Like, there was so many ways to go with this. And they went with this because they still think Shane mean something to people, like as if he's gonna mean buy rates or something.
They still call him a kid, like he's still 25, 30.
Yeah,
He's 51.
He's older than me, and I'm old.
I'm 51 years old. Yeah, he's like, I like Shane. I was a fan of Shane, but I don't want to see Shane wrestle anymore. I love that idea. Give him these big guys, give him a faction. It's 51. Yeah. I don't need that anymore.
Yeah, give him a little guy, give him smaller guys, give him like a bunch of people that he's just like, yeah, this is my underground crew. I'm gonna use Shane's privilege to push my underground crew. You know what I mean? But no, it's like he's got to get cut promos, and you have to suspend this disbelief that he doesn't practically own the company. It's just like, it's really childish, and it should be left in the dirt. But what do you do with Braun? It's the same thing. It's like, now they got 2 7-foot guys they're going to push over Braun. Like, I'm just like, what do you do with Braun? Nothing. Maybe Braun is their answer tonight to come out to fight with Lashley. But it's like, oh, yeah. God. Lazy shit. Yeah, lazy. Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Do you think that there may be, you're talking about how NXT is going to Tuesday night, so tomorrow night. Do you think maybe they'll bring out some NXT guys to kind of push tomorrow night? Or
no, I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. I think if anything, well, you mean like NXT? Oh, I think you'll see some debuts of people that you didn't realize had left NXT. But I don't think they're going to do anything to promote that brand. I mean, they should. You never really see WWE guys putting over NXT people. You ever notice that? You never really see that.
Yeah.
It's a strange thing, isn't it? Really?
It's almost like they want to treat it very separately. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like you never hear like, would it really kill somebody to be like, man, I like, even like, I didn't really see a lot of them praising the shows. Like, I'm just like, they should have made like their stars cut promos in WrestleMania about how great the takeovers were. Stand and Deliver was, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but no, I don't know but that women's gauntlet match, hot garbage. That and the Braun. I mean, those are probably the 2 worst things on the both shows.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of women, before, obviously, I'm going to mention Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, but before that, a special shout out as well, because we mentioned obviously Hogan and Titus O'Neil, but can we have a big shout out for Bayley? Because I think Bayley was fantastic in all those segments.
Yeah, Bayley was great, but Bayley's a good wrestler. Bayley's one of the better female wrestlers they have. She should be wrestling people.
Oh, she should have been on the card, absolutely.
Like what's the point of? I mean, her in-ring shit is really good. I mean, she never really gets the credit for how good her in-ring shit is. We always just talk about. I think Joe Numbers was one of the first people to really hit me on. He got me hip to how good her in-ring shit was, going back to NXT, Bayley being like one of the biggest things there, and it's like, her shit is good. She Bayley could work. Bayley's good. Bayley, I was happy that she got that profile because she deserves it. But it's moving her out of the in-ring way, giving her other things so other people can get in-ring stuff in that probably don't need to be there. That's all.
And I said to Callum as well last night, do you think as well with Bayley, because she's doing so well as a heel and she's so over, do you think it's going to turn her babyface without, them not having to turn a babyface kind of a thing? It's just going to happen naturally?
Well, I think it would be interesting to wait and see how they address Ronda and Becky, right? Because obviously Ronda has to come back as a heel. There's she's got a lot of heat. She's said a lot of crazy shit. She's put down a lot of the women in real life. Becky, it would be interesting if they both came back together as heels and beat the living shit out of every woman. That would be the most amazing shit. If Becky comes out and gets applause and happy and then bashes like Bianca Belair, and then fucking Ronda comes out, you think she's gonna get it with Becky, and then they both start kicking the shit out of Ronda. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I if they just create this like vacuum of like, the 2 of us built this whole thing, and then you guys got all the credit, and meanwhile I'm home with a baby, she got hurt, and she's sitting out, and we're watching you guys get all this credit, and we're like, no, this is us. We built all this.
But
that would be an amazing way to go.
You know what will happen though, don't you? They'll do all that, and then they'll end up putting Becky and Ronda as a tag team against the Bellas. That's the way it'll go.
That'd be all right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, can you imagine if Becky and Ronda come out together as heels and just beat the shit out of everybody? I mean, like, throw them around, kicking everybody, and
I'd love
that'd
it.
be amazing.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing
I'd love
TV,
it.
right?
That's
and then
money.
And then captivating, you go, I can't wait to see what happens when they come out next week. Because they didn't say anything. Nobody knew this was going to happen. They just beat the shit out of everybody. They just beat, like they were throwing garbage cans at people and shit like that. And then they come out and cut the scathingest promo
The next
you've
week.
ever seen. Yeah.
Yeah.
The most scathing. Like Becky's like, I was bleeding. I did all this only so you could push people like Bianca Belair and blah, 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 blah. And push, what's her face? That tag team where the girl still doesn't know how to wrestle.
Dana Brooke.
No, the other one.
Lana.
Mandy Rose.
Mandy Rose.
Well, like Mandy, you'd be like, and you're pushing all these people that I'm so much better than that I've beat, but you're pushing all these people and you're giving titles to this person and that person. And it's like, I beat all these people and this is what I built this women's division for. Like let them come out. Like that would be fucking amazing.
And then, and then I'm going to book it for Rivers. Rivers will love this bit. Have all that happen then Charlotte Flair comes out Rivers and beats them both.
Yeah, wins all the titles. Yeah. No, she's going to come back and beat Rhea Ripley again for
yeah, they gave Rhea that belt so Charlotte could take it from her again.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. I've just remembered. Rhea Ripley last year was in the title match, wasn't she?
Yeah, she
I
lost to Charlotte.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, she lost to Charlotte.
So I was only thinking yesterday, how good for Rhea Ripley.
Completely killed her momentum. And,
killed her dead.
Yeah, because I'd forgotten about that. I was thinking yesterday, how good for Rhea Ripley. She gets to debut at WrestleMania. Like that's cool that she's made a WrestleMania debut. And I completely forgot she was in that fucking match with Charlotte, because that's when her momentum just stopped.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I going into and people still bring up I was such a big fan of Rhea's going into that, and I was like, she needs to win that match because you need to start thinking about the future. She was like 23, I think, last year when she was in that match, and I was like, you have to start thinking about the future, the Riot Squad girls and her, and like this is the future now because we've already established that Bayley and Sasha, blah, blah, we've done this already. Charlotte and Becky, yes, we've done this, but you need to think about tomorrow. And what better way of thinking about tomorrow would be to put Rhea over a red hot Charlotte who doesn't lose that much, right? Clean during the COVID fucking WrestleMania. They couldn't even do that. And then the girl just disappears and fucks off to NXT UK for a good while, right? Yep. And then it was like she never existed. So they're trying to fix it now. It's not too late, but I worry with Becky and Ronda coming back. And Charlotte, whatever she decides that she wants to get back to come back to wrestling, that everyone has to lie down for all of this. Everybody. Yeah. It's just these are what we used to call the John Cena effect or the John Cena train. Charlotte has a John Cena train. Becky and Ronda certainly have John Cena trains. So the same, and for a while it looked like Drew had that too. And it's like everybody's got to lie down to perpetuate this person that we're propping up. And I'm happy that Rhea won, and obviously there was no other way to go with that. There was because Asuka again, we bled this to death. Like, how often are we going to do this? But is she going to drop a belt very quickly to one of these higher profile women when they want it?
Where do you think Asuka goes from the defeat then?
Asuka's going to end up back in a tag team.
Yeah.
I don't know with who, but she's going to end up back in a tag team.
You're right. You are right.
I see that coming from a mile away.
Yeah, well, I mean, Io Shirai's coming up. I mean, they could have a little feud there, but I mean,
no,
or they're going to be a tag team. I mean, that could be the tag team that beats the shit out of everybody.
I'd buy that. I would buy that. Yeah. Aside, obviously, the other women's match, though. I mean, Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair. I'm getting a hell of a lot of praise. I mean, did you enjoy that match, John?
I did. I like Bianca a lot. I was big on Bianca early, like a lot of people were, but I just don't like the hair thing. The hair thing, I think, diminishes her skills, to be honest with you. I mean, this woman is a superior athlete in every way. I mean, she's
incredible.
She's elite. She is an elite athlete. She's an elite athlete. Like, she is on the highest level, athletic level you could be.
Not even just for a female. She in the whole company, she's an elite athlete.
Yeah, she's probably one of the top 10 athletes in all of the business. I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, so to have her have to whip people with a hair extension seems like it diminishes her skills, like in a lot of ways. I mean, she's a superstar athlete. I mean, she's a superstar.
She's got shoulders and traps. She should be,
she should just be killing
lariat,
Right. I mean, she should be physically dominating people. Right.
Yeah.
And I hate that they even have to have that as part of her character. That being said, she's also green as goose shit, and she probably should not be main evented WrestleMania because she hasn't been in the business a long time. And like, and that came across, I think, early in the match. She was probably very nervous, but she's such a good athlete that she can overcome it. Not unlike Ronda. I mean, when Ronda first started wrestling, Ronda didn't look like she just started wrestling. She looked because she's a superior athlete. She's an elite athlete, and she was also a fan. So it's like, so I was happy with that match. I thought it was good. I don't think it should have headlined. Could have co-headlined maybe because it was the women's title. But, I'm curious to see what happens now that she has the belt. Like what do we do? Are they she's going to feud with Sasha for 3 more months? Are you going to put Sasha on a different brand? I'm happy for Bianca. I'm not going to say she deserves it because she hasn't been in the business long enough to deserve the title. Deserve is a weird word when it's a made up thing, don't you think? I mean,
very much, yeah.
Did Ronda really deserve the title? No, but she was so legit. They gave it to her. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if they put a title on Bad Bunny, that's when maybe I'll use deserve. But
can you say like maybe the character deserved the title the same way you'd say it if you were just watching any other fictional TV show? Like the character Bianca Belair deserved the championship?
Yeah, I mean, no, because again, she hasn't been in the business a very long time. Like, it's not like she's been toiling and toiling and toiling. You know who deserves a title is like Ruby Riot's been in this business. I see Ruby Riot get cut fucking barbed wire and, get put through tables with dudes 300 pounds in front of 30 people in beer-stained halls. And, like Ruby, do you ever see Ruby in a death match? Ruby's done death matches for like CZW.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I would say maybe deserves a weird thing, but Bianca is such a great athlete and doing such a good job as a rookie-ish type person who's only been in business a few years that it's acceptable, but I wouldn't like it for anybody that's been in the business that short. I think, it's, you work towards that. You don't walk into that, but she's such a superior elite athlete that I think it works itself out. Not unlike Kurt Angle, back in the day, like, but I'm curious to see how long they may. I also don't like her as a babyface. I like her as a heel, but way better. Way better.
Yeah, no, I like her as a heel as well. There's that sort of like cocky, I'm better than you kind of, which she is. But yeah, I'm with you on that one. But to go back as well, I'm with you 100%. I think Ruby Riot is so underrated. And I think she deserves a go. I think she really does deserve a main event level feud with somebody. I think she's incredible. Yeah. You mentioned Bad Bunny as well. I know he impressed me. Callum loves him. I think Rivers was impressed as well, wasn't he?
Rivers is a Bad Bunny Mark 2, aren't you, Rivers?
Rivers has every album.
Yeah.
From a guy that I've never ever been a 41-year-old man, never ever heard of a Bad Bunny. And just thought, it's just another throwaway garbage celebrity match, seen it a million times. And what really sold me within like the first minute of that match, the bell ringing, he grabbed a hold of the tag rope.
So great.
And that I kind of marked out a little bit. I was like, holy shit, he just grabbed the tag rope. I haven't seen that in years. I haven't seen somebody do that in years. So I immediately I was kind of sold. And then when he got into the ring and he was kind of selling really well, and like as Jim Cornette would say, his facials were really good, and some of his offense was like really, it's good. It was good. He did really well.
Yeah, I was so surprised. I
don't know how long he's been training for, but it can't have been that long. So
yeah, they say he started training, I think, in the beginning of the year. He put his, it was easy. It's funny. It's like everyone's like, he put his music career on hold. I'm like, okay, everyone's music career is on hold. What are you talking about? There is no music careers. What? There's been no music career for 14 months, dude. Like, and I'm not diminishing the work he did, but it's like, it was easier for him to do that because there's no touring. There's nothing. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could record, but that's basically it. People can record, but no one's on the road.
The thing is, he seems so dedicated to wrestling in the moment. I reckon if the opportunity came up, he'd still have put whatever he could on hold to do as much as he could.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I saw a clip earlier where this was from 2019, and he's doing this gig in front of thousands of people, and before he came out, he put on a live stream of SmackDown on the TV on the big screen, just so people could watch wrestling before he came out. And I was like, that's a real fan right there. Like, you know, he really does love the business, and you've got to respect that. Like, he could be doing anything else right now, but he's really put a lot of eyes on WWE.
Yeah, and you know, and one of the things I'll say is, unlike anybody else that was in that position, he didn't rely on his celebrity to get him through it. He did the work. Like, you know what I mean? He didn't just be like, just teach me how to take a stunner and I'll lie here. Like, you know, like he went above and beyond. And I don't know, like, physically, like, if he's like an athletic guy or anything. He doesn't seem like he's an overtly athletic guy. He seems like he's an average guy, but he's young and he's a tall dude. He's a big kid. You know, I know that was really created to get over somebody else, not him. But it seems like he became. It's funny because they used that to make Priest a bigger star. And it did work, but it seems like all it did was make Bad Bunny a big star. Like, like, you know what I mean? It was like, it's like now, like, everybody's really, like, I saw people that I've never heard. I heard of him, but I don't know his music or whatever. But I knew he was famous. But now it's like I see all these people giving him his props that otherwise would never have breathed his name.
Yep.
You know, that would have ignored him completely. And it's like, it's going to be impossible for people to separate down because they're going to be like, when is that guy coming back? Like, I want that guy to come back. He did a good job. You know?
Next year's Rumble, but put him in as number 30.
Oh, that'd be amazing. He should. I'll tell you. I mean, I'm sure he makes so much money in his real job for sure. But you know, that people are going to be talking about that for a while. I mean, that was universally praised. I didn't see. How about you guys? I didn't see anybody shitting on that at all. Nobody.
No. I saw the typical fan say, you know, you get those fans saying like, "Oh, back in my day, we didn't have shit like this back in my day," and it's like, yeah, you did. You did. If anything, it was a lot worse.
Yeah, but the people sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, and by the way, he seems like a very likable guy. Like, he seems like a guy, like, if you met him, be like, wow, he seems like a charming guy. You know, it's funny. I don't do really any other wrestling podcasts for the most part. I really don't. But when I'm on, like, you know, like interview podcasts or stuff like that, and people ask me about the relationships between like wrestling and like, you know, entertainment or like being in bands, and I just feel like Bad Bunny is a prime example of somebody who saw wrestling growing up as part of show business. And, you know, just like, you know, and he's not the only one, but I'm just saying, but there's other like musicians and stuff like that, where it's like, whether it's Broadway, whether it's, you know, being in a band or opera singing or soap operas or television or horror movies, this is all entertainment, right? And like, you know, not everybody gets to really do what they want to do in that world. It's a hard world to be a part of, but he is a guy who clearly grew up that this was so important to him that this probably changed how he is as a performer. It's probably the reason why he's an actual fucking performer. And it's like, and I think he's said that too, to a certain extent. And it's just like, you know, it's like, how could you not, like, even like, I remember Jon Stewart, when Jon Stewart was the most popular American personality on the Daily Show. And he was showing up at SummerSlams doing promos with Seth Rollins. And it's like, Jon Stewart gets to talk to the president. Like he doesn't need to be doing promos with Seth Rollins and J&J Security.
Well, one cool thing I saw, to your point, was on Bad Bunny's Instagram, he did do a post saying, genuinely, tonight was the best night of my life.
Wow, I believe him. I believe him.
And look at what he's done already. He won a Grammy, you know, like a few months ago. Yeah. And he's done so many concerts, tours, everything. But the first night of WrestleMania was the best night of his life. That says so much.
I think he'll be back. I think he'll be back next.
He'll be back.
He will be back. Yeah.
If they do another tag team type of situation next year again, I wouldn't be surprised. So.
Now watch, he ends up fucking up his music career because he likes wrestling too much.
And then they bury him.
And then they bury. It's like Andy Kaufman. Andy Kaufman was fucking up his career because he wanted to wrestle in Mid-South, like wrestle in Memphis. Excuse me. And people are like, you can't keep doing this shit. You know what I mean?
His whole gimmick of wrestling women really hurt his career a little bit as well there for a while. You know.
It hurt his career.
You got to stop women. You know.
It's like Bad Bunny's gonna be like, hey, look, we got this amazing tour for you to go tour overseas. And he's gonna be like, well, hold on a second, that's SummerSlam. Hold on, I don't know if I can do that.
Wait a minute.
Can I get that day off? Or we're gonna have satellite. How's this gonna work? It's like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? It's SummerSlam. Like, what does that even mean? It's like, I'm sorry, it's SummerSlam. I can't do it.
Or more importantly, Fastlane. So,
yeah. Roadblock, end of the line.
Yeah.
I did actually. I just remembered something because I forgot about this match. With John saying that he thinks like a title will change on Raw tonight. AJ Styles and Omos won the tag team titles off New Day. I mean, I could see New Day winning them back tonight because they're determined to have them break the record, aren't they, or something? So I could see that happening.
Yeah, that match I didn't really care for. It's just AJ versus like one of them independently would have been a better WrestleMania match for me.
Yeah.
Like either one of them independently, AJ just having a sick like 20-minute match with, oh my God, like regardless of whether it's like Xavier or Kofi. I mean, like it just seems unnecessary. I don't know like what's left for AJ. I know he's got a few years left on his contract. He's a little older now. He's still AJ, but he seems like he's kind of on his way out. If you ask me personally, I feel like he's kind of on his way out. He came to WWE very late in his career. He was 41 when he came to WWE. Had one of the best debuts I've seen in the modern era. When he walked out of Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And I lost my fucking mind. And I was just like, wow. I just never thought I would see it,
How old is he now? Is he 44, 43, 44?
44. Yeah, he's 44.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 44, but also he's probably made more money in the last 3 years than he made in 25 years of wrestling.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Easy.
And, what do you do with AJ and a 7-foot guy who clearly doesn't know how to wrestle that well? I get it. He's not really, but he's 7 feet. So, I understand that. It's like AJ's like a technical master and he's with a guy who doesn't really know how to wrestle.
I love this team. Honestly, I'm a huge fan. They've got me hook, line, and sinker. Like, I just love the dynamic between this comedy heel AJ Styles, this big 7-foot monster Omos who's never wrestled, and I kind of like the craziness between them, the dynamic. I'm sold on it. So, I don't know where they're going with it, but I loved it.
I could see them dropping the titles back to New Day tonight. I hope not, because I like Kofi, I like Xavier, but I've had enough now of the New Day. I'm just
big match Omos in losing already in his second match.
The big man. Because they might have to hold on to these belts for the big man for a while.
What other tag teams are on Raw? Like, what other tag teams have they got on Raw?
Great question.
Whoever they put together.
Basically. I can't think. Because you've got the Viking Raiders, but one of them's out injured, so they're done. They stupidly released the Authors of Pain. Why? I don't know.
I'm just Googling who we've got now.
Yeah, I can't think. I honestly can't. While Callum's Googling that, though, we'll ask you then, John, as well. I mean, we were told we were never going to see it again, but we got Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn again. I mean, I like both guys. I'm a huge Kevin Owens fan. But I didn't feel like they got enough time. I don't feel like I barely got much.
Yeah, I mean, it was all gimmicked around the Sami shtick with the other guy, with the Paul brother. It's just like, it's not the way you wanted to see, Kevin Owens and Sami have a WrestleMania match. It wasn't that at all.
Yeah. Because we know they can have a 5-star match.
Yeah, but they've had them already, and I don't know that they probably WWE doesn't want them to have that. They don't. Like they just using it to get these stories over versus them having these amazing indie, feuds or whatever on the independents for a decade. Fans were clearly into it because they knew that Paul dude was going to get hit at some point, so that was nice to watch. But like I said, what do you do now with those characters? Like, it's like, to me, it's like, do we hit the reset button now? Like, because KO should be in a title picture all the time.
Absolutely.
And he's not.
Absolutely.
Like, and he's not. Like, he's the prize fighter, right? So then why isn't he fighting for the prize? And to a lesser extent, I'll dial this back too. I'll put that in league with Seth and Cesaro. Now, I know it's very fashionable to say how great Cesaro is, and it's very trendy to say that Cesaro is so great, but it's like he's been around a long time. He's never getting whatever push you think he deserved 8 years ago. He's not getting now. This is just something to do for Seth. I don't know why. What Cesaro? What you do with a Cesaro right now? I just don't.
I can picture Cesaro maybe having a little program, excuse me, with Roman Reigns. That would make sense since he's beat Daniel Bryan, he's beat Seth, maybe have a little program with Roman Reigns, because who else is going to challenge Roman Reigns at the moment for the title? Because he kind of very much definitively beat both guys.
Yeah, he did.
There is one problem with Cesaro, and it's what a lot of people who are classed as underrated for the whole career suffer with, is while they're underrated, they're always the person you can say they deserve that push. The problem is when they get the push, a lot of the time they prove you wrong. And like Cesaro could be, we always say, oh, he'd be an amazing world champion. He's so underrated. He could be a great main eventer. And then you put him in the main event and he completely fails. Yeah. Is it better to think, oh, well, he could have been a great main eventer, or is it best to be proven wrong? And that's the problem Cesaro has. And I think it's why I'm a bit cautious about them putting him in the main event, because if he does fail, is that worse than us thinking for the whole of his career, oh, I wonder what he would have been like in the main event,
Well, I think at this point, honestly, he's been around too long to get pushed.
Yeah.
I mean, because you've seen him feud and fight and feud and fight and feud and fight and feud and fight. So it's just like, he's been around too long. You can't all of a sudden dress him up and have him fight Roman Reigns, because you'd be like, I've seen this guy lose 50 times. Whereas Roman looks like $1 million. So it's like it's going to be very hard, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be very hard to have somebody fight Roman Reigns now. I really do, because it just seems like he's just unstoppable now. And it can't certainly be a guy who we have watched lose on TV for 5 years.
Yeah, he put one motherfucker on top of another motherfucker and pinned them both.
That was so dominant. I mean, even though he had nothing to do with one of them really being hurt or whatever, but it's that was just such a dominating. It wasn't like a fuckery win where it was like the bad guy did something bad guy and that's why he won. No, he beat the shit out of these guys. Granted, one of them's probably a little too old, and the other one we've seen, his prime is done. But it's just you need a big body to stop that now. And I don't know that Cesaro is that body. The only thing that's going to be believable is if it's somebody very big and physically intimidating to Roman.
I dare I say it, and I mentioned him earlier, but you've got the built-in storyline with Paul Heyman. I mean, do you bring Lesnar back? Role reverse, Lesnar the face, Reigns the heel.
Yeah, the problem is Lesnar doesn't have the personality to pull that off, though. That's the problem.
Well, does he need to speak? I mean, it could be that silent killer, he just comes in, beats the shit out of you. I mean, I only say Lesnar because you've obviously got the Paul Heyman aspect as well. Right. He's the only guy I could really think could go after Reigns, unless they move somebody like Drew over to SmackDown.
See, that's what I thought maybe would happen. Maybe. But I don't know. I really, really don't know. And I don't know that we're going to find out so much tonight. I think the table is set. But, I like Cesaro. I've never been one of these people who says Cesaro's the greatest. He's okay. I mean, he's not very convincing in terms of speaking. I think he's missing that. I think that's the issue at the end of the day.
Yeah.
He's a little bit too wooden. You could tell these are lines every time he moves. If you think about it, until what's-her-face, Natty's husband got hurt there, that seemed like that's where he was going to end up being in tag teams until he retires.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because when they put him with her husband who doesn't like women, what's his name?
Tyson Kidd.
Tyson Kidd.
Yeah, they were it seemed he's not into chicks. I don't know what's going on.
No,
but that's why she's constantly improving her looks physically so that her husband will notice her. That seemed like that was the sweet spot for Cesaro, right? It was he's in this tag team with him, and they're both technically very good wrestlers, and they're not really great personalities, so they could play off of that. And then they threw him in another team with Sheamus, which seemed to work, I guess. I don't really know. I'm not really big on Sheamus either, but
yeah, I actually didn't mind the Cesaro and Sheamus. I thought they were a pretty decent tag team. And then like you said though, then he was stuck. Was it with Nakamura? He was with last as well. So
Nakamura, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get that. And we forgot one match, and actually I'm glad that I forgot this match because another guy, obviously, we mentioned who could potentially go against Reigns, Big E. Big E lost the Intercontinental title.
You're right, he did.
Apollo Crews.
Yeah.
I mean, is this Big E stepping up? Could he be the guy to challenge Reigns?
I'm hoping that's what it is. I think now would be the time to do it. Even if it's just a nice, really good feud for a while.
Yeah.
I think because
you don't think it's too soon? You don't think it's too soon?
No, I don't think. Well, I don't know who else. I think they don't know what they want to do with Roman just yet. I mean, they have to
build it into SummerSlam. Build it into SummerSlam. Like that.
Yeah.
Big E Roman Reigns for SummerSlam would be hot. I reckon.
Yeah.
Also, did you guys get the impression that Edge is going to be a heel now?
Yeah, I'm getting that feeling. You know, you said tweener, didn't you, last night, Carl?
I think with Edge, it's not so much he's a clear heel, as much as he is desperate. Like he's on the last legs of his career. He's got this second chance. He feels like he needs to win the Universal Championship to make this return mean something, which just means he's really desperate. And now he's like won the Rumble, lost at WrestleMania. He's going to be even more desperate. So I just think we're going to see him attacking everybody, whether they're face or heel. And he's going to be like the tweener in that match. And like you said, Jamie, Daniel Bryan was the face, Roman Reigns was the heel. He was somewhere in between. And I think as long as they keep doing that with him, that would work.
Yeah, technically he's not a SmackDown. He just went for that title, so he could say he could come out tonight.
Well,
yeah,
you're right.
And say, yeah, I want to fight. I want to fight for this title, even though, like, what do I need to do to get back to getting another title match? Like, you know what I mean? Because he could say he could walk out tonight and challenge and look at Bobby Lashley, and be like, you know, I want to fight for that belt.
That would work though with the whole desperate character he's got going. You know, now he's thinking, what can I do now? How can I get back in the title picture? Fuck it, I'll go to Raw.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it could
maybe they could fight tonight, and Bobby could be the reason why he turns heel.
There we go.
And then he shows up on Friday like an asshole and be like, he's going to keep showing up on shows. Like, because it's who I've been in this business a long time.
He shows up on NXT. He shows up on NXT.
Yeah, he shows up on NXT. Like he could just be like, I could show up wherever I want. I'm a legend. I could show up wherever I'm the Hall of Fame. I can show up where the hell I want.
I kind of like that though. Like he could come out on Raw. He could open Raw tonight and come out, no music, sit in the ring and play the whole psychotic, character that we saw.
He's in denial. He can't accept.
He's in denial.
He came back from injury, won the Rumble, had all that build, only to lose in the main event of WrestleMania. That's fucked up his head. He's in denial. He can't get his head around it. I just think that would be really interesting to see.
Yeah, that'd be good. And by the way, that also is a good usage for him. That's a good role for him.
Yeah,
because he's so popular. I mean, I'm not a big Edge fan. I'm just not. I was okay with Edge not coming back, but I recognize that it's a big deal. It makes people happy. He pops people's interest. Mm-hmm. Now is the time. I mean, look, the landscape has changed, right? We're going to probably get audiences back before the end of the year, more than likely before the end of the year.
Yeah.
And I'm saying before the end of the year, and it's the middle of April, so it's a long time. But the landscape is changing. You're not competing with another company on a weekly basis with your other brand, right? So, the expectation, you have literally, if you're a wrestling fan, you have a main show on a Monday, a main show on a Tuesday, a main show on a Wednesday, a main show on a Thursday, a main show on a Friday, right? You have literally wrestling you could watch every night of the week on cable television, like every night of the week between Impact, AEW, and WWE programming. That hasn't happened yet. It happens now. Now is when WWE has not had to have a night of the week where they'll concede wrestling to another company, like emphatically.
Yeah.
Right, because they threw because they threw their show on USA. So it's like I feel like everybody needs to take bigger stands now, right? Because the indie people had a bunch of shows. I saw some footage of it. Some of those GCW shows looked like 15 people were at them. Some of them looked pretty crowded. You know what I mean? It's like, the landscape is changing. I don't know if people are going to come out of this. Look, in 2 weeks, you guys could be doing an episode talking about all the COVID people that now all these people have COVID from the show. We don't know. We really don't know, right? So it's like, I think they need to step up. Everybody has to step up now.
Yeah.
Because WWE is not going to have a live crowd again until SummerSlam. Okay. When is that? Early August?
August. Another 4 months, 4.5 months.
Well, 4.5 months, guys. That's a long. I mean, the things that could happen in 4.5 months. So it's like, how are we going to keep everybody's interest? AEW doesn't have to compete with WWE. Everyone goes, well, they could do 1 million people if NXT wasn't on. I don't believe that. Let's see. Let's find out, right? The last ratings war they had, NXT had a big show against AEW, which threw a big show on TV, and they beat them by like 100,000 viewers. NXT for like the first time maybe ever, or maybe the second time ever. So it's like there's a lot of stories going on. WrestleMania is supposed to end stories.
Yes.
And tonight's Raw is supposed to start them. So I'm excited to see if we get some out of left field things to happen, because really, what was the big surprise over WrestleMania weekend? Can you guys think? Like that guy came out and is Nigerian now? I mean, like, is that like the surprise?
Yeah.
Bob Okada, whatever.
I was
waiting for some kind of return or some big kind of surprise, somebody coming back or somebody interfering in a match. No, holy shit, there's nothing like that really.
Nothing.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, usually there's something. Usually somebody comes out, right? Like
Back in the Attitude Era, that stuff would happen on a weekly basis. Somebody would come out and something would happen here and something would happen there, and it was you're always left on a bit of a cliffhanger. They don't really do that anymore as far as shows go. Then you're never really left on a cliffhanger of any kind. So I don't know.
That's it. Yeah, I always say I used to love it back in those days because you had a cliffhanger. I had a reason to want to come back and watch next week, or watch the night after the pay-per-view. I haven't got that. You don't give me that anymore. That's what's missing for me.
Well, that's what they need to start doing, I think, though, and I think that that's a big part of the problem is that episodic TV shows. Like, I'm a comic book person, right? So well, the whole point of buying a comic book, if you bought like an X-Men comic book in the 80s or whatever, and you may not have understood what was happening in this, but by the time you get to the end, it's supposed to make you want to buy the book that comes out next month. Right. And I think, and I think that's the way wrestling used to be. Mm-hmm. Even not even that long ago, I think it still carried that format into the 2000s, where it was, this is an episodic television show, and we want to leave you on a note that you definitely watch next week. And I think what happened is so many people, and I think COVID really exposed this a lot, realized that they weren't really watching something that they had to watch, like that they had to make sure that they didn't miss the following week, or like the pay-per-view that they never in a million years thought they would not watch. I missed it this year. You know what I mean? Or so it's like, because it's not leaving them at the end of it going, oh man, I can't believe it. Wow. It's leaving them going, shit, I totally shut this off and watched something else. Mm-hmm. And then when I came back to it, it was still just as bad as it was when I left.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's time. Look, they've done a lot of things that many people said they wouldn't do. And one of the biggest things, they're clearly focusing more on pushing people that traditionally they would not push. Mm-hmm. And that they were always heavy and fairly criticized over, whether it was wrestlers of size or ethnic backgrounds or whatever that they didn't push. That's all out the window now. Okay, that's gone, right? Like, that criticism doesn't exist in the product today. They push people who are a lot smaller. They don't just have women who are all blonde hair and blue eyes anymore, although they still love it, but that's not every woman doesn't look like the other woman. Mm-hmm. Even that woman, what's her name? Zoe Stark on NXT.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to be a shitty person here, but I'm just saying, aesthetically, their aesthetics, she does not fit into their aesthetics. Mm. Okay. Mm. She's not a model turned athlete.
Yeah.
She looks more of like an athlete. She's an athlete. She's not a model. She's not a sex symbol or somebody, mm-hmm. That they're going to do a pinup version over or whatever. So it's like they're breaking down, they're changing their model, but their TV shows still suck, right? And the way they approach their business still sucks. Yeah. It just sucks. It's just not as permissive in terms of the things that they're bad at. They were bad at things like, pushing minorities. I mean, this is a business where half the business is probably funneled by people of ethnic backgrounds, and they're not seeing themselves reflected in this product, right?
Yeah.
So you can't really say that anymore, though. You just can't. You can't say it today. I'm not saying they solved the world's problems, but I'm saying today you can't say that. You just can't say that right now. So if you're going to fix that problem, can we fix the storyline problems and the continuity problems and like, and go back to telling episodic television. Thank you for pushing a lot of these people and giving them a voice that they have long waited to see. I mean, if you would have told me even 5 years ago that 2 African-American women are going to headline WrestleMania, I'd be like, nope, that's not going to happen. WrestleMania, they would never do that. WWE doesn't do that. That's not how they are. Clearly, that's not the case, okay, because that happened. Just like they would never say women would ever headline WrestleMania. Well, that happened 2 years ago, too. So it's like, we're constantly, they're breaking these barriers and pushing people and going to countries like, different countries and getting people from different ethnic backgrounds and pushing them. But they're still doing a bad job. They're still doing a crappy job of telling stories. Can we now start telling good stories with these people? Give these people good stories. Don't just push them and go, hey, we gave a title to this girl from a country that we never did business with before, so now we're good people, right? No, your stories are terrible. You know what I mean? It's like, to me, it's like, I feel like they're breaking so many boundaries. Now let's break the boundary of being bad, telling bad stories on television.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Yeah, I mean, but why can't, but look, if we can do all these other things, I mean, like, for example, I saw a picture of Adam Cole staring at Shawn Michaels. Did you see that? It was like a behind the stage thing. And like, now Shawn Michaels isn't even 6 feet tall. You know that, right?
Yeah.
He's not. Okay. And he's like a foot above Adam Cole. And it's like, I like Adam Cole. I think Adam Cole's very talented, but Adam Cole is an undersized person. He's undersized for the wrestling business. He just is. He's a very small, tiny, frail little guy. And like, he's got a big personality and he's got a great way of getting himself over. But when I see him fight Keith Lee and I see him fight bigger people, it's hard for me to dismiss that. And everybody will use the Rey Mysterio argument. Well, there's only one Rey Mysterio, right? And that's why he was Rey Mysterio. You know what I mean? And he was also a luchador and he was a high flyer at a time where, Adam Cole's not a high flyer.
First of all, John, sorry to cut you off, but Google says that Adam Cole is 6 feet. Well, would Google lie?
No. I think somebody at Google needs to go work at Yahoo now. No, they said during the match. They said 5'11", and I was like
5'11", right?
Yeah. I was dying. So it's like, but Adam Cole's a small guy, and like Adam Cole should not headline a WrestleMania probably because he's like 5'7" and 160 pounds, and if he's gonna fight like Brock Lesnar, I'm out. Like I am never taking that seriously. I'm not. Yeah. We have our Daniel Bryans and our Rey Mysterios, and that's nice, but those are anomalies. They're exceptions, not the rules. And I think, the best thing a lot of those guys did, like your Ciampas and your Coles and your Johnny Garganos, was to insist that at the very least they stay on that brand because they know that if they go to the other brand, this is going to go badly for them. Like Adam Cole versus Braun Strowman is not a good look for anybody. It's not. So I would like to see them go back to telling these stories. Like maybe make NXT the smaller guy company. I don't know. That's where we put all the little guys. It seems that it's kind of happening like that anyway. Big guys don't stay in NXT for very long. I don't know if you noticed.
True. Yeah, you're right.
Guys get moved up pretty quick.
Yeah, he'll be gone as soon as he drops it next time, he's gone.
Yeah. This is the last reign for Cross.
Yeah.
And because Cross needs to be with the big guys, you know what I mean? I just want them to go to tell better weekly episodic stories. That their TV shows are very hard to watch.
Yeah,
they're very.
I 100% agree. That's all I want. I miss that watching Raw, and then I'm excited. I'm counting down for next week's Raw. I can't wait. You see how that ended? I can't wait what's going to happen this week, and that's just gone now for me. A show starts and finishes. It's one episode in 3 hours, and then next week it's a completely brand new episode. There's no, like you said, there's no continuity. There's no storytelling. Yeah, I totally agree.
Let me ask you guys a question. What would you think if they took continuity issues instead of having the separate brands the way they have them, which I know they're on separate networks now, but what if they had storylines throughout both of those brands? So in other words, rather than have separate rosters and separate this and separate that, like, okay, you can have separate championships, but you could transition people in and out based on storylines. So in other words, 2 people get into a conflict on Raw, right? Make them have part of that conflict on SmackDown too. So this way it's important. Like, in other words, like, it seems like the idea should be that these things are so important that they carry out throughout the themes of the shows.
They did try that, didn't they, with in the Raw Super Show era, where every episode of Raw had SmackDown superstars and vice versa. So every show had both rosters, and they would continue stories over the shows throughout the week. And eventually, even then, they just kind of like gave up.
Yeah.
They did try it, and it would work in theory, but even then, when they've got 5 hours of TV to tell one story, they still couldn't do it. That's more than enough time to do it.
Yeah, I mean, like, South Park can squeeze like 2-3 separate silly storylines into one episode in 22 minutes. Like, you've got 5 hours. I mean, like, you got 5 hours and you have like 180 people that you could utilize in this story. I don't know. I just feel like it's nice that they're making these strides and pushing different people, but the same mistakes will get made now with these people. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, I can't wait till we ruin Bianca Belair's career the same way we ruined this one's career. It's like, why do we have to ruin anybody's career?
Well, one other thing that I always think of as well is, when we're putting people in the Hall of Fame at the moment, you can always look back at their video packages and see all of those cool moments that they had throughout the career. And you go, yeah, that's what got them in the Hall of Fame. In 20 years' time, when we're putting people in the Hall of Fame, what's their career highlight package can be made up of? That time they had a match with Baron Corbin on Raw. Like, there's no moments anymore which make people.
With his eye patch,
Yeah, you never really go like, do you remember when Keith Lee did this or Baron Corbin did this? There's no moments that you remember in 10 years' time.
None. You're absolutely right, and it's scary because I think as they started to become more of an entertainment company, they got less entertaining.
Yeah.
And like, I don't understand how that's possible. Like, I really, really don't understand how that's possible. Like, there are shows that have been on for a long time that people still go and watch, whether it's Law and Order or South Park. Like, they all run the gambit, right? And there's sitcoms that have been on for many years. There's game shows that have been on before you were all born that will probably be on after you die. Like, everybody will hit. Like Jeopardy is, Alex Trebek is dead, but Jeopardy will probably still be on for another 40 years.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and it's sad that he's dead. I'm sure we would all like the guy to still be around, but they are figuring out a way to reinvent themselves without this person who put this show on for 40 years. And the Price is Right. And like, it's like, I don't understand how everyone else can figure this out, but they can't figure this out. Like, I just don't understand. Like, and I love seeing Apollo get pushed, and I love Big E getting pushed. And I loved that Io Shirai is probably going to the main roster because I think she's great. And I love Rhea winning because I've been a big Rhea fan for a while. But it's like, I'm just waiting for them to ruin all these people now because it's inevitable. Right? I mean, where the fuck is Aleister Black? How did you ruin Aleister Black's career? Like what by having him come out and talk and cut these weird dumb promos and challenge people, and then they ruined Andrade. Andrade, like, should have been a big star. Like, that whole thing with Selena and Andrade and his cousin and this one, that could have been a faction that you could have looked at for a bunch of years. They abandoned it so quickly. Quickly. The Riot Squad. Remember when they broke up the Riot Squad? Those girls were on social media crying in real life every day because they didn't want to be broken up. And it's just like, why are you breaking this up? It's the Hurt Business. Why you break people like this?
But it's going to happen. I mean, like, for Aleister Black, Rivers, remember in pub when he got called up, Rivers said to me, it won't be long before they fuck it up. And what they done?
Well, me and Rivers made a video about The Fiend back. Do you remember when The Fiend debuted?
Yeah.
So the week after.
August 2000, it was 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. So we made a video saying how cool The Fiend was. But at the end of it, we said, it's only going to be a matter of time before we're making a video saying how cool The Fiend was once.
I know.
Because they'll have ruined him.
And you're right. But you're right.
Happened.
But that's the thing. But you even had the foresight then. You had the foresight then to know not to appreciate this.
It didn't
take
very long between SummerSlam and Hell in a Cell. What it was, like 3 months between those pay-per-views or something. They already fucked him by then.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
he literally had a 3-month run of like, oh yeah, he's the best thing ever, and then and then he's done.
Well, people
So-
liked Bray Wyatt until he started losing all the time, and then it was just like, it's like I don't. Same thing with Braun. People liked Braun when he was throwing partitions at people, and then when he started, and like Roman, people liked Roman in the beginning when he was in the Shield, and then they made him go solo, and then he started cutting like nursery rhyme promos, and like everybody checked out and said, "I'm done."
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's for me.
Yeah.
No fault of his own. It was always the material.
Yeah.
It's the material. Well, it's usually one running theme though, Callum, is it's usually the material.
Yeah.
Like
You're right.
what why did Andreas why is he not in matches? The guy's an in-ring good worker.
Mm-hmm.
They had a gimmick going. He had like a whole posse of people that people were playing with in terms of, they brought in Austin Theory in there for a minute, and they brought his cousin in there, and it's like, the thing that they should have done was had him and Charlotte just be this asshole couple who treats everybody like shit and interfere in everybody's matches and be assholes to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would have been a top heel, and she could have been a top heel woman, and this is like their power trip.
Mm-hmm.
This is so obvious to me. Like, why don't they do this? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
You can't do it with Becky and Seth. It just doesn't seem like it would work. Becky could make it work. Seth probably couldn't make that work.
Yeah, it's just it's what they're doing here. It's like with the Fiend Bray Wyatt. I think they fucked Bray Wyatt so much they're gonna have to repackage him as Husky Harris at some point. It's at that point now. But obviously we've gone an hour and a half. So before we start to wrap up, there is one more thing I've just realised. There's a new Raw announce team. Samoa Joe has been classified as a talent on the talent roster again. Could you see Samoa Joe going for Lashley or Reigns?
I like Samoa Joe a lot. I know you guys probably do too. He made me a fan. I wasn't such a big fan of the ROH days. He was okay. I mean, ROH was just a whole other animal back then. But like, Impact or whatever, I liked him on Impact. He could be a big player. I don't know if they'll see him as a big player now, because he's been talking for so long. And it's not the first time we've seen that with Savage. We saw that with Jake the Snake Roberts back in the day. I would like to see him. Who's the Raw announce team now, guys?
They've moved. You've got Byron Saxton. They've moved Corey Graves back to Raw from tonight, and it's a new guy called Adnan Verk. Apparently, he's a Canadian sports presenter or something. He's taken over from Tom Phillips. Tom Phillips has gone to 205 Live, but they haven't mentioned who is joining Michael Cole on SmackDown. So whether that's going to remain as Corey Graves and he's going to do both shows, or I just don't know.
Hold on. You said 205 Live still a thing?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's still a thing.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I didn't know that at all.
Tom Phillips has gone to 205 Live, but he's also
Sounds
got
like a
a senior
punishment.
position
It is a
backstage as
punishment.
well.
You're right, John.
Sounds
It
like
is
a
a
punishment to me. I mean, I'll tell you what. I flipped through the channels, and Bellator was on Showtime here in the States, and I just was curious because I used to watch Bellator a little bit, and my friends produce it. I have friends that work on that show, and all of a sudden I'm listening to this guy talk, and it's Mauro Ranallo, and I was like, shit. I was like, I haven't heard his voice in so long. I miss Mauro. I think NXT took a hit when Mauro left.
Absolutely. 100% agree. I think he was the best thing we had since Jim Ross in his heyday. I think he was the new JR to me. He was just on a whole nother level compared to anybody else.
And,
let me ask you guys a question. Because I just had this thought, and I have not exhausted this, so bear with me. Why do you think it's possible that we haven't, maybe Heyman will end up getting the booth in one of these shows?
I mean, it could. I mean, like I said, they haven't announced who's going to be Michael Cole's, new commentary partner for SmackDown. I would be more than happy with Paul Heyman on the SmackDown commentary team. I think that would be incredible.
Do you guys think it's a possibility? Because he's an on-air talent. He's on the show weekly. It's not like he's
Every match he could be putting Reigns over as well. I'm not talking about the actual guys fighting. He could just be constantly going on about
Look
Reigns.
at his pectorals.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, because eventually this Roman thing will run its course with Paul.
Sure.
And or maybe that's how they end it. I don't know, because Roman really doesn't need him. I mean, let's be honest. At this point, Roman doesn't need him. He doesn't need him at this point. It's established. Roman's the top heel. He's the top guy. he's a fighting heel, which I like.
I like the world right now. The top
I think
champion in the world right now.
I think so. I think it would be hard. Even I was never a big Roman guy. That's the other brother of mine. But it would be hard for me. Roman reminds me. I'll probably get some shit for this, but Roman reminds me a little bit of the Ric Flair unstoppable heel run before NWA crossed into WCW. And like Ric Flair, like where basically Ric Flair would beat people like Sting and Lex Luger and Magnum TA and Dusty Rhodes. And you're sitting there, even as a kid, buying these magazines going, well, how does Ric Flair win? Like, even like logically, it's like, shouldn't one of these guys have beat Ric Flair at this point? But no, because he's the top guy and he's the top heel and he's got some people with him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he
always finds a way to win. He
finds a way to win, and you hate him for it. That's Roman's job. Yeah. Who's more dialed in right now in pro wrestling than Roman Reigns? Honestly,
nobody.
No one's even in touch with who they are.
No one's even close.
I love how Roman, he always typically does something shifty or cheats to win, but he always finds a way to win. And it doesn't look like some kind. It never looks like a pussy doing it either. He always, he doesn't.
He's not a chicken shit heel. It's not like. And thank God. Thank God he's not doing.
That's a great thing that they can manage to balance that. Like he cheats to win, but he doesn't look weak in cheating. He always looks. Yeah. He always looks dominant.
Guys, wouldn't it be amazing if he just cuts this promo like on Friday, and was like I didn't even need the chair to beat you. I didn't even need to hit you with the concerto.
I just wanted to.
I just wanted to.
Yeah.
Really.
Like you see guys like me, like sometimes, and you think, oh, they just cheat to win. I don't need to cheat to win. That's the difference between me and everybody else.
What I'm hoping we hear is, like, if you'd have just pinned Daniel Bryan, for a fact, the story would have been Edge comes out and goes, well, you didn't pin me, that means I get a rematch. I want to think Roman Reigns knew in the moment, so he pinned both of them, so neither of them get a rematch.
I like that.
Yeah. I know. Dude, but seriously, like, Roman could literally just be the type of heel that goes, I'm so good at this, I'm so much better than everybody else, that sometimes I just do stuff that I know might get me in trouble. Not because I know it's going to let me win, but because I want to.
Yeah, I want to.
That's how bored I am with most of you.
Yeah.
It's just so boring to beat you like I beat everybody else. Can you imagine that promo? Like people just sitting there going, "Holy fucking shit, that's good." You know what I mean? It's like that's how good I am. That I do things that I don't even need to do to win, just because I'm so bored with how much better I am than you. Like,
that's awesome.
Amazing.
But that's what you want. That's what they want you to think. They want you to take that. They want you to build on that. Go, dude, like Roman is like become one of the more interesting people in the business right now. And it's just, and by the way, he doesn't break character on social media. Like, you know what I mean? He's dialed in, and this is working.
You know what I really love about the character right now, even though you see this indestructible guy in the ring, he's still very insecure as well at the core. And he's got little nuances which he plays on a lot. Like when he was about to powerbomb Daniel Bryan, the crowd were booing him. And he looked at the crowd as if to say, like, it was almost like it triggered the boos from the past, when he always used to get booed. And he was looking at Smith to say, how can you still boo me? Like, it really did play with him. And then he took it out on Daniel Bryan when he powerbombed the shit out of him. But I love that he's still insecure now, even though he's the champion, even though he dominates, he's still got these nuances, and I love that about him.
Yeah, and it's like you forgot that he was sick. You know what I mean? You forgot that he was gone for a long time. Like I completely have wiped that out of my mind.
Yeah.
Like there was a time when he came back where I just saw him was like, oh man, I hope he doesn't get sick. I hope he's really healthier than he was. Like, because remember he looked a little thin when he came back. He just didn't have the size.
I remember saying he'll never be heel after that. I said he'll never be heel.
Everybody said that. Everybody said that.
They'd never be able to turn him heel, and fucking hell, he did.
Yeah, I mean, like, and the thing is, and they didn't go with the thing where he gets his comeuppance and loses at WrestleMania. Yeah. Like they broke with huge traditions here. He still headlined. He still retained, and he decisively won. He decisively won against those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, because it's a no DQ match, you can't be like, oh, well, he cheats to win, yada, 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 because it's a no DQ match, so anything goes. Yeah. So it was, for all purposes, it was a clean victory,
Yeah, it was a heel. It was a heel not cheating, but didn't really need to, not really cheating, decisively beating two baby faces.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it wasn't even like he beat one baby face. I mean, it's like, who, like, to work with that guy now. I mean, I never saw much in him, but I think one of the bigger stories, I mean, you have to talk about Rhea, you have to talk about Bianca for sure. I think Matt Riddle is pretty much going to end up on the bot. He's going to end up doing putting a sock on his hand and talking to it like a snake in about a year.
Yeah,
because that's what they think. I mean, they're pretty much done with him. But the Roman dominance, I don't think enough people, at least from the coverage that I saw after last night, that to me is the story. Roman just completely wiping out years of people saying that he was forced as the guy. He was forced on us as the top guy. We don't really like the way we don't really like him in the ring. They're giving him everything. He ruined Braun. He ruined this person. And you just see him standing there like a heel, like, fuck you. And it's working. Yeah. And it's one of the only things I think that's really generically, like, it's actually happening. Like I actually, like, I'm like, wow, like Roman is a great heel. He's the top guy in the business right now. It's the way they want you to feel about people like Kenny Omega or Chris Jericho or John Moxley to an extent, but these guys still want you to like them. They want everybody to like them at the end of the day.
Yeah, the cool heels.
It's like the cool heel thing is, it's so played out. Like MJF does a good job with it, I think, for what but at the end of the day, he's like a 23-year-old guy who's only 5'9". I mean, like, so it's like, how much utility we're gonna get?
Don't get me wrong, Roman's still cool as fuck. He's a badass dude, but you still hate him. Like, he's only cool because he's so badass.
Oh yeah, Roman is like, but he reminds me of like Randy Savage or Jake Roberts in a lot of ways, where it's like, or Ric Flair, like the early WCW NWA Ric Flair, late NWA Ric Flair. He's gonna win. I don't care how good looking people think Sting is, or how big Lex Luger is, or how scary Nikita Koloff is. Ric Flair is going to win, right? Like, he's going to win this match. I don't know how he's going to do it, but let's see how it turns out, because he's the number one guy. And that's Roman is telling that story, but he's dominating. Mm-hmm. Like, he's not hitting you with brass knuckles and then hiding from the ref or pretend like they didn't make him a chicken shit pussy heel to do it. They let him be maybe that was the compromise with Roman. It was like, you're going to be a heel, but you're going to be like a heel who is just like angry and beats everybody up. Like, when he's going to be like, well, why don't we have more heel? Like, why isn't Braun that heel? Why wasn't other people that heel? Like, I'm so curious to see what happens now, honestly. Like, and I like the optimism. The optimism's good. It's, tonight, after 10 minutes, they could ruin it, though. The first 10 minutes could be something so stupid that would be like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
You guys have any predictions for tonight's Raw?
It happens.
It'll air. It'll air.
It will.
I like I said earlier, I can see the New Day taking the tag titles back. That's just my opinion. I kind of like the idea we had about Edge maybe coming out and challenging Lashley.
Yeah.
Couple.
One female NXT debut and two guys. I don't know who. That's just my prediction.
I think Big Match John comes back, and then they put him into the title picture with Roman Reigns, and he goes over clean and buries him like he's done with everybody else. So,
Rivers, what if it's John Cena who's controlling Alexa Bliss? Because he's still stuck in the void.
Yeah, he's still
right.
stuck. Yeah.
What if?
Maybe he's trying to come back. Yeah.
What if that's him manifesting back through Alexa Bliss? He's learning how to control it.
Do you guys think that tonight is now? Would you put Becky on the Friday show or put Ronda on the? I mean, because Fox is gonna want one of these fucking people. There's no getting around that.
I think Becky will go to SmackDown because that's where Seth is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think Becky, if you say if she comes back as a heel, which would be great, if she goes after Bianca Belair.
Oh, that'd be amazing, dude. Can you imagine? She comes out, gets this huge ovation, everybody's like, welcome back. Well, she's like, oh, thank you so much. Then she's like beating the shit out of Bianca, but like for no reason, and just like tosses her around.
Yeah,
dude, it would be great if she whipped the extension out and start just hurting choking Bianca with her own hair, or just choking her with her own hair on her head, and like kicking her around. And then people be like, Becky, like, what the hell is wrong with you? And she'd be like, You let all these people come up and take the spots that I worked for, that I'm better than. Like, screw this.
I would love to see an angle where, like, she comes back, totally heels out on Bianca Belair, and like puts her out of action, and she has to forfeit the title, because she just got such a bad beating. Write her off TV for a few weeks, something like that, like they used to do back in the day,
I like that. I like that, and I like the fact, give me Becky and Bianca, because then, if you put Ronda on Raw, I kind of want to see Ronda go at it with Rhea Ripley,
Oh, yeah. I would like to see that, too. I mean, the money is look, we need to see Ronda and Becky kill each other on a high-profile show at some point. We need to see it. It has to happen. We're probably not going to see it for a year, so what do we do for the year? I don't know, maybe make them both be heels and make them try to ruin all the progress that the Rheas and I'll do you one better. Like Shotzi is, I think, on the verge. Shotzi's like 6 months away from debuting big on the main roster.
Yeah.
I can tell you that right now. Like, maybe have one of them show up to NXT and just like kicking the crap out of the women on that show too. Yeah, just let everybody know, like, that me and Ronda are the two biggest things in women's wrestling. We weren't here, so all these other women got to have belts and got to have titles and got to have pay-per-views. But this is about us at the end of the day. And now that we're back, just like Roman, this is what they did with Roman, right? With Becky, take the page from Roman, give it to Becky, give it to Ronda, and say, look, just beat everybody up. No sympathy, no nothing. Don't play up to the fans. Don't talk about how great it is to be back. Talk about how angry you are at what's been going on. I'm angry because that was Roman's thing.
Yeah.
Like, I was out sick and I could work my way back, and people forgot that I'm the guy. Well, guess what? I reminded everybody I'm the guy. Becky could be like, yeah, remember when I was the man? I'm still the man.
Yeah.
I don't care who wins the belt, who headlines what. I'm still the man. This is still about me. And I'll start beating. And Becky's good when she's a heel, like when she beats people up. It's great. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want this to come out and be like, oh, your thoughts and prayers got me back early. From I miss my baby, but I'm happy to be back. It's like, how can I not come back? You're my babies. I got 20,000 raw babies. It's like, no, stop. Nobody wants to see that. Yeah, especially with Seth being some quasi mid-carder heel now. Maybe that could be part of it.
Oh, I love that. If Becky had embraced Seth's vision, because he's doing that whole thing now, embrace the vision. Maybe while she was off, Seth's been sat at home, telling her all about this vision, and Becky's seen it too. And
maybe that could be it. Maybe she could be like, the way you turned on my husband, who has killed himself in this ring, who's come back from injury, who has constantly tried to do everything he can for this business, never took time off, and this is the way you turned on my husband. Maybe that's Seth's big payoff for being such a mid-carder for the last year. Seth was the guy. Seth
still is in a lot of ways, but he might not be in the main event, but I still see him as one of the most credible guys in WWE, along with Roman Reigns.
His in-ring shit is good. I mean, his in-ring shit is great. Forget about the bad stuff they gave him to do and the character shit. His in-ring stuff is good. He's very young. I don't know. I want to start seeing them use people, take chances with people. Make Becky come out and be in a cult with Seth, and just make them be weird, culty bad guys to people, and have them beat people up. That's great. Maybe give them somebody tough, to anchor for them. Maybe Samoa Joe. It's I sat back and watched this too, and I maybe that's going to be it. Maybe people that haven't been around for a while will come back, form a crew. Can you imagine if Seth, Becky, Ronda, and Samoa Joe showed up on Raw and said, we've all been out for this entire time and watched Seth, preach his vision, and none of you were listening. But meanwhile, Seth was right, because when he was the top guy, you guys didn't appreciate him. So I'll have them start some kind of crew off of that in some way.
Call the stable the Vision or the Unseen or something.
Call them like the Vision or the new Vision. It's not even about Seth, it's about them. And they can spin it and say, Seth wasn't just talking about himself as the Messiah. We're the Messiahs. Becky would be like, I wasn't the man, I was the Messiah too.
Yeah.
And Ronda was the Messiah, and Samoa Joe was the Messiah, and none of you appreciated it. And then we all got hurt, and we couldn't be here, and you guys moved on to other people. Well, fuck you. Now we're just going to take everything from everybody.
Why do we do this? Why are we booking good stories?
Because we're smart people. Because we're smart. I can't help how bright and articulate we all are.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing that B-Show's not here because he always fantasy books the most amazing scenarios.
Yeah, he really does.
It
takes it to a high level.
Sad. Yeah,
I know.
Because he's next level with his fantasy booking.
Yeah. I never fantasy book though because I don't look at it as fantasy booking. I look at it as obvious booking.
Yeah. Well.
Fantasy is things that will never happen, but you want to have happen because you like them. So that's like me going to lunch with Robert Smith and Morrissey later. Like it's not. It's a nice idea. It's not going to happen.
Booking because WWE would never do it. So it is a fantasy.
Never do it. Well, I know, but the irony is that they could do it.
Yeah.
Like to me, the money, like Roman has proven that the money that you could have money and the bad guy and the chase and the dominance. The way they tried to do with Brock, but Brock just didn't. Brock wasn't on their shows outside of the times he was actually contracted they had to wrestle. Whereas Roman comes out every Friday and was like, yeah, I'm the guy. I don't care. I'll beat you up. I don't care. And you have Heyman cutting these promos with him and Roman like yelling at his cousin like he's simple, like he's a simple cousin or something like that.
I love that about him.
Yeah.
The fact that he treats his cousin like utter shit.
Yeah, he beat the shit out of his own family.
He will beat his own family.
Yeah.
Imagine what he'll do to you.
Exactly. So I'm hoping they can cash in on some of this stuff. I feel like the reason why they left the belt on Roman was because they recognize that this is successful, but be incestuous about it and give it to other people. Give it to Becky. Give it to Ronda. Give it to Seth. Give it to somebody. Give it to Samoa Joe. Give it to somebody. I mean, somebody else has to have that. I'm a bad guy, but I'm not like Baron Corbin, where I'm just really tall, but I'm actually very cowardly. And actually, people boo me legitimately don't like me. You know what I mean? Like, even though I'm like 6'8", people aren't afraid of me because I'm just so cowardly. But Roman's a scary dude. Like Roman at this point now is probably more scary than the 7-foot guys they got walking around. Because Roman looks like he's ready to hurt anybody. You don't care.
Yeah, anybody.
Anybody.
He doesn't care. He will. We saw what he did to Jey Uso, and he loves that guy apparently.
Yeah.
So imagine what I'll do to the next person who tries to take the food off his table. I love that.
Yeah. So we'll see where we go. I mean, tonight's a big night for sure.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. But on that bombshell, John, I mean, we're pushing the 2-hour mark, so we'll.
And I'm getting this one up tonight as well, so I'll get editing on that.
But obviously, John, open invite. We want you to come back anytime you want. So.
Well, I was going to invite. Well, I'll just make it official now. So I was going to invite you guys to come on the 50th birthday show in May. So we'll be hitting you up for that.
Oh yeah.
That would be awesome.
Be celebrating my 50th birthday on the air. We're going to be recording. I mean, it's an A-list. I mean, you guys just made the A-list, so congratulations to Ringsiders.
Well done.
For making A-list. You're officially A-listers now. You're going to be invited to the birthday party. Since I'm not actually having a party, it's the closest thing to a party I could have. So.
Oh, I'm going to be. You mean you're not flying us out?
What's that?
You're not flying us out then?
No, you're not that kind of A-listers. You're not like the A-listers. Like, you don't get flown out to the location. But once I think we got to work out the perplexities there. We're going to try to get everybody on the air for it's going to be the first week of May. It'll air actually on May 7th. I think we're going to record it earlier that week because I have to be edited heavily in order to make the air. I have to get edited quite heavily. But I'm excited to have you guys on for that. That'll be fun. You guys all three can jump on.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, thanks for all the shout outs and stuff on Break the.
We appreciate that.
Oh, no sweat. It's funny. I was going to say this at the beginning of the show, but I'm just going to say this now, and it might not seem as sincere. But you guys are kind of becoming like the blueprint of how to run your business. You guys are constantly putting out content. You're constantly reaching out to different types of people that either I'm not that familiar with or that you want other people to know that you're enjoying who they are.
Yeah.
Which I really, really like about your show is that I'm learning about people from your show, which is fucking amazing. It's like, oh, here's a guy who's really tearing it up that you may not have heard of, or here's a woman who's doing really great that's we think is going to be a star someday. It's like, wow, I'm learning about people from a show, which is nice. You know what I mean? It's almost like you're getting people like right before they become something significant, or you want to help make them. You want them to become bigger, and that's so cool.
That
like
really
it's a very
is
unselfish
cool to hear.
business model, too. No, I'm
Yeah.
serious, and I'm not just saying that because we're friendly. I'm saying like it's such an unselfish business model, where it's like, hey, we're enjoying this person's work, and even though a lot of people might not have heard of this person yet, but we really want people to really know what this person is about, and we want to get to know this person. So here we are having this normal conversation with this person, and it's like, wow, and it's like a lot of these people are moving the needle now a little bit in the business.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it must feel really good to know that you hit on that. So congratulations. I wanted to congratulate you because I feel like your show is getting bigger, and you're broadening other people's horizons to people in the business that you're appreciating, that you think deserve it, or that are not getting that attention, and you're using your platform so unselfishly to do that, and that's so cool. So thank you guys for being cool like that.
Well, and thank you, man. That really does mean a lot coming from yourself. Me and Jamie and Rivers have said before how much we enjoy speaking with yourself, so it does mean a lot coming from you.
Yeah, it does, man. Yeah, we always say it's surreal, but like we kind of class it as friends now. Like we're friends with John Draper.
Oh, you absolutely are, 100%. I don't really spend a lot of time in the circles like this anymore, primarily because, I try to put the focus on doing like this comedy show that's very, it's a lot of news and things happen very quickly. So I don't get to talk about stuff like this with anybody else, but I'm sort of limiting who I'll have these conversations with. And I absolutely consider you guys friends of mine, and I'm happy to promote you on our show. I'm happy that you'll be part of the birthday show, and I'm glad that we got to do this because I do miss it. I mean, I do. You can tell I miss it. I do miss. I would never want to make people think otherwise, that I don't miss it. I wish the product was better.
Yeah.
And if the product, look, this was not a terrible WrestleMania. It was a decent to good WrestleMania. I don't think it was great. It was definitely not bad. I would like to think that they're going to do the 2-night model going forward. I think that's a better sell to people, so they could pick what they want to spend the time watching. But, thank you guys for being so generous, man. Really, it's really, in a sea of very selfish podcasters, you guys are a beacon of hope. You're my shining city on a hill.
I'm gonna cry.
Well, that means a lot, man. Coming from you, we appreciate that. We really do. And like we said, we cannot wait to come on your show, and we will get you back as well anytime you want. There's an open invite for all of you guys. There always will be.
Thank you so much. And whatchamacallit, that show's gonna be. I'll hit you guys probably up in a couple weeks. So B show will probably end up hitting you up about it. Because we're going to have to record it and like really cut it up. But that's going to be available, Break the Apocalypse. It's going to be on our free platforms. New shows come out every Friday. And then, of course, we have the Patreon shows. That's where we've like been doubling and tripling up on our content there. So people can go to patreon.com/break the app. And I'm always on Twitter. I'm not really on there as much arguing with people anymore because it's just boring. But you can find me at I am John Draper on Twitter. And if you could throw some love to my music, man, I got an album that just came out from 20 years ago. That's on Spotify exclusively right now. And it's on Bandcamp as well. But the band Synthetic 16, that was a band I was in 20-something years ago that just got an album released from 2003 called Too Far Along. That's available right now on Spotify and Bandcamp. You want to spell out 16, Synthetic 16. And I think I'm doing a reunion show in October. I might be my retirement show. So I'm retiring from music forever this year. I'll do my last singing performance of my life. Well, not of my life, but Synthetic 16. I'm just going to do some shows with that, and then I'm going to retire, and then I'm going to go back to making fun of people on the internet because it's fun.
It is fun.
Well, I do think literally, I think me, Callum, and Rivers have all just literally looked for John's band, haven't we, at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we talk about if you're on Spotify, it's on there, but Bandcamp has both albums on there. Apple, I'm having some issue with the label, but it came out it was supposed to come out in 2003. And I got into a fight with the record label, and the guy shelved it, and we finally were able to get it released digitally. Most people have never heard it before. So it was supposed to be the follow-up to my album that came out in 2000 that wasn't internationally released. It did have international release. But and then after that, I kind of just faded into, doing like event hosting and stuff like that. And I would write things for corporations. I did a commercial in couple of voiceover commercials. One in your country for Barclays. I did a voiceover.
Oh wow.
For Barclays Bank.
Right.
Yeah, I did. I did a Barclays iPad commercial when an iPad just came out
Awesome.
in 2014.
All right.
It was a bunch of like barbarians fighting, and it's me talking. But
Get the fuck out of here. I'm
yeah,
gonna have to Google it. I'm gonna have to search see if I can find it on YouTube.
yeah, I had to
Barclays
sign. I couldn't get paid for it because I was a Barclays employee, so they took the cheap way.
Right.
But yeah, I've done.
That's
I'm gonna do some music this year, and then you're gonna keep
Same
building
here.
Break the Apocalypse, and then I'm gonna retire. I'm gonna retire into private life.
Yeah, I've just been I've been approached about being signed to a record label, an independent record label as well
Nice.
for the second album. So I'm hoping to have the second album out by about October, November time. So,
Oh, look at you
and I've
showing
got
up.
my comeback gig as well as June. I've got a comeback gig at a local music venue called the Adelphi in June. So that'll be the first time I've gigged since the back end of 2019.
Wow.
So it's gonna be good to be back. You're doing my
Yeah, I'm calling it my retirement. I'm retiring from singing because my hearing is very bad, and it's hard for me to be exposed to loud music. It's very difficult for me to do that, like just in terms of my hearing. And tinnitus is the devil. And
It is.
so all of you, if you have, please, I like loud music, and please treat your hearing with some level of respect, because once it's gone, it will not come back.
Yeah.
I assure you, it will never come back. Don't believe the hype. You don't get it back. It is, even now, like my hearing is damaged from doing podcasting. So I'm going to get that out at the end of the year, hopefully, with COVID calming down in the States. And, I'm excited to have you guys on the birthday show, man. It's going to be fun. So I guess I'll talk to you guys sooner than later.
Hell yeah,
Absolutely.
man. We'll stay in touch. We'll speak to you soon.
All right. And thank you so much. And please keep up the lovely, unselfish work. You guys are doing.
For
you're
you,
really
John,
doing
we
good
will
stuff.
do.
Well, because you guys are turning me on to good people. Like, some of the people I knew, but some of them I didn't. And I was like, oh, I would never heard of that person if it wasn't for them. That's awesome. So,
Great.
That is the best compliment. Thank you.
Yeah,
well, that's why you have me on, because I'm good, because I say nice things.
Yeah.
that's
why
means a lot, man.
That's my whole reputation. I say nice things. I never say anything weird.
Nice
or
guy.
nasty.
No.
Nice guy.
Yeah, I'm nice guy John. That's
That's why everyone knows you as. Yeah.
that's right. Clearly, that's my reputation for years. That's why I'm banned from like every wrestling thing, including the show I was on for like 5 years. 'Cause I'm so nice. But I'm excited. You guys will celebrate 50 with me, man. It's gonna be awesome.
Hell yeah, man. Can't wait. Can't wait.
All right. Well, you guys enjoy your day, and who knows? Maybe we'll all have a nice surprise tonight with Raw.
Let's hope
Fingers
so.
crossed.
Let's hope so.
Fingers crossed, but we all know it's gonna be shit. So,
Yes.
guys, enjoy your day, man. Thank you so much.
See you soon.
Speak soon, man.
Thanks.
John.
Bye-bye.